Good evening. Welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. Plus, we got a couple closed roadie groups on Facebook. No, that came out like butter that time.
Man, you're getting this down.
I'm getting that down, dude. One's called The Backstage Pass and Death by Loadout.
Whew.
Woohoo!
Fire.
All right, tonight with me here in this building, my good friend and co-host, Kyle Thomas. What up, Big Daddy?
How you doing, Bubba?
Oh, man, it's the first day of my vacay. You know,
That's right. I heard you're getting another year older. Another year older on us on Monday.
50, and so I'm going to be on Monday. That happens, and so I'm going to hang out with my buddy. We're going to do some stuff in the city. We were going to go down to our place down south out in the valley there, but there's more fun things to do in the city. We're not sure we're going to do maybe a little Van Gogh thing or.
Oh my God, you're getting out in the city. Vince in the city.
We were there a couple weeks ago. We went and did the Young Museum, which was an absolute treat. It was the Judy Chicago show. Just like a fabric expert, like I don't know, some a women's feminist thing. But it was cool as hell, and it's like an extraordinary building, and it's always fun to be in the city. I'm a big architecture guy.
I'm happy for you. So what are you gonna do? What's your plan?
Oh, that one I don't. I just more or less relate it to you. I'm not really a celebratory kind of guy. Not much of an imaginative fella.
So whatever your woman drags you to.
I know my extraordinarily wonderful, incredible woman and bought me. We go to this place in Monterey on this little freaking tourist street, which I kind of hate it, but it's this great place called Rosine's, and they have these incredible cakes, man. They're like these sick ass cakes, and they make this amazing carrot cake. So my chick went and bought me the whole carrot cake. Now I know that one slice of this cake is $18. So this ridiculous carrot cake coming here that I'm gonna have to find a way to give to all you folks because I can have one, maybe two slices over a long period of time.
What do you mean it's good for you? I thought it's Californian carrot cake, so it's grass-fed, organic.
It's been free-ranged in
free-range carrots.
So you're not wrong. You make a good valid point. All right, I might be able to have 2.5 pieces, but this is lucky. I was telling my chick, but I think maybe this should happen. If you're grateful for being alive and you got good people in your life, maybe you should be giving people shit.
That's valid.
Instead of getting shit, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so I'm happy that
Mike, you hear that? He's going to give us some presents for his birthday.
Cake. My buddy's coming tonight. She changed her plan. She's coming tomorrow night. She's on a vacation, too, from her business. She owns this business in Monterey, a great little fabric shop. It's got all kinds of cool shit. And she's decided, it's a slower time of year right after Christmas. She just hauled ass during the whole holiday season, sold her little heart out, so she took some time off. And so she's going to come up tonight, and she's got this huge cake. She's got to do some fabric shopping in the city tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
And she was considering just going straight to do that, but then she was imagining going around town with a cake in the back of the car. This big, like, $80 cake.
They only knew the windows would have been smashed.
Yeah. So she thought maybe it'd make more sense to come up tonight, and we'll hang out, and then we'll go wander around the city for a few days.
Well, I'm happy for you, and everybody wish happy birthday to Vince online if
Thank
you can.
Thank you. You guys are so sweet. I love our regular viewers. These guys, I love the little community they built for each other. It's pretty great. And apparently, lots of people are starting to get their shirts and their little hoodies.
Everybody's getting a shirt, man.
Yeah. I saw Mr. Cheney had one on today. Mr. Noah had one a couple days ago. I think
he told you he was going to be wearing it every single time.
I want to get hooked up with Ribbit, so you're going to have his baby frog up on his board and my ugly mug. Yeah, that's awesome. So when he's out mixing down, he can show the love. And we super dig that. I just Chopper Kovich and Scotty Perlman should be getting theirs in the next minute or two. And there's just a bunch of heads out there. So yeah, keep an eye out in your mail.
Yeah, he sent a grip of them out. There's a ton of them.
Yeah, we've got 25, and we sent out 12 of them, and we gave out 12 to our crew. And so we're down to, it's just happened real quick. So there's another 25 being ordered, and I can hook dear friends up that. Take care of that internal fucking core part real quick.
Yeah. Like I said, we had a nice picture, but everybody was lined up.
They're moving on.
It was like Vince, like looking all badass, and all of us were,
it was 12
our
people.
backs against it. So it had all of his faces lined up, but somebody's ass cheeks were out in the photo.
It was awesome. It was a really great picture, but it turned out like the algorithm would cop it up as R-rated, and it might mess with my shit. So we kept it back, but
it was excellent.
Yeah, that happened. That was fun.
But so we're rolling along with winter maintenance. Me and Mike have been slaying away on this. We got an SC48 in the corner of the shop, completely stripped out. He did a bunch of LED swaps that I wasn't brave enough to do. I'll do the potentiometers and stuff like that, but when you get more intricate, it is
such fine, detailed soldering at that level.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, and so I get it. I understand.
But so we've been in winter maintenance. I have been taking time for myself, so I went out on a far-fetched limb here and bought myself a dirt bike to have some fun on my spare time.
You're like 14 years old.
Yeah, I'm essentially 14.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
No, that could, I bet you that would make it a little 50 or something.
It's a 125. It'll do some damage, but small enough
Throw
to.
your girl on the back, drive to the forest.
The worst part, I'll say this: the worst part is in California we have this like red sticker that you get. That's like cool. It's a 4-stroke. You can drive it in the woods. But they did away with it this month, so I'm just gonna have to drive it illegally. But I think.
Wow, that's weird. I didn't know that little small detail.
California's a great place sometimes.
When do you plan on driving and what time? And I'll have some people.
Yeah, I hope not.
See you.
And my lovely wife Susie also made a purchase. She bought a nice huge van that we're gonna start building out into a little traveling house. So
You're gonna help her out with that?
Oh, absolutely. We'll have the time of our life getting around.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a nice big diesel. She spent a good bit of money on it, so hopefully it'll last. And
it's one of those sprinters.
Yeah, it'll make some trips around. Whenever we go out on a gig, we go on a camping trip, we'll have that thing.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Put the dirt bike
Go
in
do
the back
festivals
now.
and that thing. It'd be super fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, right on.
Also got this new SXL in 24 channel.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about this desk. Every time we have it in, I just want to hang out around it. It's like anything we can do to work on it. I love that. I love that desk.
We did a listening party with it last night with a band that's recorded in here, and how'd that go?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, My Heavy Memory came in, did some listening. This is one of the bands that the guitar player had passed mid-project, so a lot of re-listening, touching in on how they want the direction of things. But I think we've worked out something, so something good will come out of it.
Of course.
It feels good seeing some of the guys like, Paulie from SIR is the drummer and very close to us. So it's like
It's a dear friend.
It's great to work with people on something that's like they're passionate about. It's not really work related.
Yeah.
And kind of get to see that side of it. So it's been nice.
It's a nice way to look at it. I hadn't really looked at it that way.
Yeah. I mean, what better things to be doing on your downtime is to be helping your friends out with something.
Make music. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. That's a good point. And Paul is a great drummer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Solid drummer.
Yeah. It's been fun. I mean, everything we do is on that S6L, so it keeps our skills up to date. And
Right. Well, I heard some of the mixes, some of the board mixes, and it sounded really good.
Oh, cool. Right on.
I think that's largely up to you and Mikey. You're mostly you, I think.
Yeah, me and Mike handshake both. Any of the mixes we do are both of our little add-ons together.
Right on. I put some flavor in there.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Vince just turns things up. He just wants it louder.
Yeah, you got enough.
It's like, it sounds great. You just turn it up.
What? Okay. Thumbs up. What? No, down, less.
To be honest, anything that I mix, I have Vince come in and listen to because as much shit as we're talking right now, he has a hell of an ear. And
That's very kind.
There's certain things that he'll point out, and I'm just like, I fucking would have never thought of that.
You just did it to me just a minute ago, and it's funny, but Greg Price does this to me all the time, and Bradley to some degree, and some other folks, and I love it. I love being able to go in there. I remember the one time, the worst thing I ever said to Greg, I was kind of joking, but I wasn't. He was mixing something down, getting ready for this big tour a couple years ago, and he brought me in, and he was blasting this really great song that he'd really touched up for a few weeks, and I kept hearing it over and over because he's really dialing it in. He doesn't usually get with a band until he gets with them, then he'll study their stuff, and then he'll fucking hammer it out, then he'll go on the road and make magic, Yeah. And I walked in, and he said, well, what do you think? And I stood there for 3 or 4 minutes, and he turned down, and it's my turn to give him a pen. I said, sounds a lot like Bob Scoville. He was so mad. I thought he was going to pull my throat out. It was so funny. It was a magical moment. It was so funny.
This is why you're great, because it's always a brutal, honest answer. It's like, if that sucks, it sucks. And he's going to let you know, you either just walk away. So anyways, that's pretty much what we've been up to, man. I would like to thank Kyle Churnside for last week's show. That was incredible.
Dude, wasn't he amazing?
So good, dude.
That guy has got such a unique take on things. I just thought he just comports himself in such a way. He brings a lot of the fun to the thing. I love what he does with Signal to Noise podcast. His show is, those guys churn it out, man. I mean, they are just
Yeah, the Rat Pack and the mentorship that they've been doing is like really cool.
Say like 38 people he's paired up.
I had no idea.
Extraordinary.
Or even like our Aaron Lancaster. I had no idea that he had.
Oh yeah. He
brought
reached
her
out to
in.
me. I don't know, 6-7 months ago. I don't remember what the actual time was, but he said, we got this prospect. I got good feelings about it. It's coming to the area. You want to give it a shot. So to discuss it with George, and what could it hurt? We interviewed the person. She's lovely, and she's been working out pretty good so far. So that's the deal, man. Pay it forward. He's a fucking great guy. If he's just by him putting his name on her, I felt very comfortable right there alone. But then you got to meet the person, and he's a very quality person, and so it's great to be a little bit of a part in the chain. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to do the mentorship outright thing like they're doing, but I sure respect the hell out of it. It's such a great idea.
You got your own way. You got your own path that you have.
I am Papa to all of you young people.
That's right. He's the Papa.
That's what we do. That's what the old people, that's what we're for. We're trying to teach you how to survive it. I wanted to reach out and say thank you to all the, I love me some Charlie Zaricki. I can't let you guys just know this enough. John Del Rio, your shit sitting over here. I'm crazy about you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming to the show. Tony Lewis, of course, the great Charlie, our dear, dear brother, godfather of the show. Jorge Eduardo, couldn't do it without him. Simple as that. Susan Kearney.
Your backdrop is awesome. That's what he said.
Who said that?
Aaron Kinzer.
Oh, right. Thank you. It's a little, I liked it better when it was on the lead wall. It looked really cool and seamless before there was a time. And special shout out to Pat O'Doul. We hope to see you sometime soon, my brother. And we got some treats for Pat as well. But listen, man, I got a couple guests in this evening that are really exciting and good friends. I've known this young man since me and George met, I want to say somewhere back, was it Starship, maybe? You're driving for the ship? You had normal hair, dude.
The dude from the Bay Area, Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis in the news.
I've been knowing his crazy ass for a long time. I'm going to get to it. Thank you. I love you. It's great to be on the show with you tonight.
Definitely, brother.
All right, let's do this thing. Guys, tonight I've got a couple wonderful guests. This lovely young lady. It was an original Ice Capade. She's tour managed stuff. I'm not going to get into a bunch of details because you're going to tell us about it, but she's a phenomenal woman. She runs, I believe she's a pretty major realtor with Perome International, Keller Williams maybe, and that's a pretty amazing thing. And her man, who I was lucky enough to get her to drag in here so I could yap at, is currently also employed with Keller Williams in the athletes and celebrity division. I guess they're going to tell us more about that. I barely have a handle on it. He's been we met this guy, like I just mentioned, years and years ago. My goodness, he's toured and drove and taken care of some of the best acts and some of the greatest stories. He's worked at the Ryman, one of them just fascinating to me, absolutely fascinating. Waylon Jennings, a remarkable artist, and it's been many years with him. He's done so much, it's too hard to put it into one intro. Let's get him out here and we'll talk all about it. It is the one and only Ross Rylance and Stephanie Perome. Hello, guys.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, great to
How are
see
you, kids?
Yes, nice to see you too.
It is such a treat to have you on. I really can't say that enough.
Thank you.
You came up from down south. How was the drive up?
Long.
Yeah. Was it long? Was it long? Really? Oh,
Well,
wow.
there's that stretch in the middle that's a couple hours.
Oh, sure. Just kind of a wasteland. The 5 up there.
And when you turn the corner, it's like, really, another 60-something miles?
What did you come across on 46?
No, we came up on 580.
Oh, on 580? Yeah.
I'd stay on the big road.
You just stay on 5 all the way to 580 and then drop back down the top end?
Yeah, it's the professional driver in me. We call that stay up on the big road.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
You make better time. It's horrible eating.
Yeah.
Not as much ambiance, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'd love to go across 152 in a car. I've done it in a truck several times.
That's a little bit of a wiggly road.
Whoa, it's a horrible road.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I did that in a bus.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
The crew was really pissed.
Yeah, nauseous.
We were going to Shoreline. Yeah. I'd never been there. And I'm like, well, that looks faster.
Yeah.
So I went that way. The other drivers were like, do not go that way. And I'm like, sure, whatever. You're just jealous.
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you. Oh, I was like 30 miles an hour trying to turn to not wake my guys up.
Yeah.
Yeah, sleep is paramount to keeping your gig as an entertainment bus driver.
Right.
Yeah, no two ways about it.
Yeah, if your guys aren't sleeping, you get fired. I remember one tour, made excited about life and stuff. We're out in the middle of maybe Nebraska at a Holiday Inn. And I turn, and the tour manager's right next to me in the buddy seat, and I'm like, oh my God, look, cool, there's another band staying at this hotel. He looks at me and goes, no, dude, that's our new bus. You're fired.
Oh, man.
Well, my balloon just went, whoa, that's cold. And then he's like, he made me park as close to the other bus as possible so they could
Just
open the door and
cross over.
go from, and I just sit there for a few hours while they unloaded the bus and everybody just looking at me like with the evil stare. I don't know what I'd done, but you know what? There were those customers, and then there are other customers who loved what you did.
Absolutely. Got them both.
Yeah. There were nights I drove 90 miles an hour across Montana, and they'd pat me on the back in the morning. There were other nights I'd try to creep across Mississippi, and they'd look at me the next morning and go, dude, did you hit every bump on the road?
Yeah.
I'd be like,
were you trying to kill us?
were you trying to kill us? I'm like, no.
I've been on both of those rides. I know exactly.
And yet you're up there trying to keep the customers as happy as possible, and they don't understand that some nights you're driving through 60-mile-an-hour winds. That's what's pulling the bus from lane to lane. It's not that you want to do that.
No. That's always, it's such a sinking feeling being in a bunk and that happening. I can only imagine as you trying to control it. We've all had that happen in our cars to some degree, and it's very unsettling. And to have it happen in a big, basically 55-foot sail is
well,
never envied the job.
To be honest, as a tour manager for a group called the O'Kanes on Columbia Records, our bus driver fell asleep. We hit a median and popped two of the rear drive tires. And, I kind of called him on it. I said, come on, man. He was blaming it on fog and whatever. But
he was asleep.
What happened was, over the course of about a 4-month tour, we were opening for Willie Nelson. I started doing relief driving for him. And I told the band that the only time they could not bother me was when I was driving the bus. So I started doing more and more driving because as tour manager, I needed to shut off the 9 guys who are constantly, what are we doing next? I'm like, did you read the daily notes? So I gave you a day sheet, what we're doing tomorrow. Like, that didn't matter.
No. Yeah.
Just throw that away.
Some folks don't read. You need more like charts, graphs.
No. Yeah.
Pictures.
Hey, I worked for one tour manager that, and some of you will know this, live it, love it, or learn it, live it, love it.
That's the
And his quote was, if you call me in my room on a day off, you better have your bags packed. Because he would have laundromat, local restaurant. This was back in the 80s when
he typed everything back
He typed
then.
everything down and gave you the information so that you didn't have to have a question of like where was Dennis.
Or at least very few.
Right.
Yeah.
So enjoy your time at the hotel. This is called a day off. Do not call the production or tour manager on the day off.
Yeah. No, it's rules to kind of live by.
Yeah.
I think there's a little more, now the communication is so much more fluid. You can do things through texting and stuff, and it's a little less invasive. But it just depends on the style. There's certain folks, Opie'd have you call them 24/7 when you give a shit. But other folks, it's like, dude, this is my time.
Right.
And I get it, and I really need it. Like, I'm going to be crashed totally out. I'm going to hit the fellows and disappear. It's the only way I can come back and do this again at a strong level,
Right.
You mentioned...
somehow.
Right, I mean,
if it's just got to be a 3 or 4 hour, really strong block of sleep. I mean, that's what, he was doing. I had a chance to go out with him a couple times on the road.
Yeah.
When we started dating again, or dating, period.
Not again.
Not again, period.
Yes.
And you just try and get these little blocks of sleep. That's how you function. Very rough life.
No, it's not for everybody. You get weighted out real quick if you don't have the constitution for it, but it can be very addictive. That was my experience. There's
a lot of drivers who think they're drivers, who enter the entertainment realm, who don't understand that I've stayed up for 2.5 days back in the day working and driving and having stuff break and getting your clients safely to the hotel. And we're not proud of, and we've changed with DOT regulation, but there's some of us who remember going coast to coast. And there were no drugs involved. It was the high of the work. And when you had 12 guys in those bunks who gave you their entire life and loved you, and it was a community.
It's a sacred trust, man. You got you have people's lives in your hand. We need you, because what we do during our on hours, but I need you to be at your best during your on hours.
Exactly.
Get me where I need to be.
Oh,
Well, and, you know, I tell people that it's a decision that you make. I mean, so many people enter the business thinking that they're going to befriend the client.
yeah, we're gonna hang out with.
We're
rock
going to hang
stars
out with me and Kenny Chesney are going to
Yeah.
split a six-pack every night before we roll.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Eat a
well,
slice,
you
yeah.
can do that, but you probably be like one night you're going to do that,
Yeah.
and then you'll be gone.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
and all of us, I'm 38, for almost 40 years touring. There are groups that I'm a fan of. There are groups that the hair stands up on the back of my neck when they come down the hallway next to you.
Yeah.
And you have to pretend like this is just another work day. That they are the boss, and you cannot show favoritism or celebrity, or the first thing they'll do is let you go.
Well, you know, I always thought backstage. I've only had it happen to me once in many years of hanging out. It was one time with Greg Allman, and it just freaked me out. We're in the bathroom together and like side by side of urinals, and I was just like tripping out on him. He was like super tall dude, you know, like hair down to his ass, and it's Greg fucking Allman. And I'm like going to the bathroom and my shoulder's touching his shoulder. I'm just thinking, that's fucking Greg Allman. You know, and we just set him up to do Melissa for this benefit, but I'm thinking, you used to be married to Cher. Like, it was just this stuff going through my head, you know. It's like,
I'll share a quick story. I used to do a thing called River Stages in Nashville as a stage manager.
Yeah, familiar with.
We did it for like 3 or 4 years along the river. Had like 6 stages, and we did the Allman Brothers, and that was the famous night that Greg fired Dickie Betts, and he fired Dickie Betts over the fact that Dickie brought 8 guests to the show and demanded laminates for his guests, and of course, as promoters, we'd run out of them. We only had sticky passes, and so Dickie sat on his bus for 40 minutes waiting for the laminates, and Greg fired him over it. There's a guy in Nashville, and some of you will know him. His name is Jack Pearson, and Jack had already had a couple of rows with Dickie anyway.
Yeah.
So in the middle of that afternoon, Dickie was already in a bad mood. He kicked Jack went to Home Depot or whatever and bought half-inch lucite plexiglass and built a wall around him because Dickie played so loud, and he had it set up on stage. Literally pre-COVID. This is 1994. I'm talking about pre-COVID. He had an entire booth. Dickie came up on stage for sound check and kicked it to the ground, and we're like, okay, that was good. But anyway, so right before that, in the middle of the days going bad, Greg was standing next to the stage, and I'm like a big Allman Brothers fan from 6th grade. Yeah. I make a beeline at him, put my hand out, Mr. Allman, and as I'm like 2 feet away, he turns around and just walks away. And I went, whoa. But let's fast forward to 2014. I'm working at Janko Trucking. I get a phone call from Vid, the tour manager with the Allman Brothers, and Greg Allman, and he tells me that Jeff, the owner-operator, who I know very well, can't continue because we're not playing enough dates. Do you want to come out and work for Greg Allman? And I literally dropped my cell phone and spent from 14 to 16 driving Greg Allman.
Right on.
And we did city wineries. We did 8 shows with ZZ Top and Blackberry Smoke as our opening act.
Really?
And I went to every one of those shows and watched the show. And all my guys are like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, it's ZZ Top opening. I'm going to be out there. I don't care. Yes, Greg, you're great, and I love you, and heavens, you know, the Allman Brothers, the greatest, but ZZ Top can rock.
Yeah.
On a good night, they were good.
One of the first bands I ever saw.
Oh,
That's
man.
probably, I think, ZZ Top.
Yeah.
Did you ever go
And yes, it's you know what
amazing.
it's.
Their tour history is extraordinary. They've put on some of the most, and they tend to, sponsor their own thing.
Yeah.
I remember in the 70s, for a few years, they went out with a traveling circus, a petting circus, but it was like, had giraffes and a buffalo and like.
Yeah, I saw that where they put the big the longhorn steer on stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
saw that, the biggest, baddest band. They came to the Ryman in 2008. Tickets were $250 down to $125, which for Nashville was ridiculous.
Steep,
They sold out in 20 minutes. They came up on stage, and you guys know this, right?
Yeah.
The biggest bands in the world, when you go to see them, minimalist gear on stage.
Oh, yeah.
They had 2 mic stands and a drum kit. And the mic stands had neon strips in them. This is, again, 2008, so it was kind of new.
Yeah.
But the sound that came out of the PA, and but anyway, they walk up. Billy Gibbons says, "Hey, we drove past this place in '68 in our station wagon and said someday we're going to play there." Fast forward to 2008, they're finally playing there. They said, "You know what? We waited so long to play here. We're going to enjoy ourselves." They played for 2.5 hours.
Oh, that's awesome. That was
And then the
Yeah,
audience
Yeah, it's cool.
really got a real treat that night because they just couldn't get enough of it. They would jump from one great song to the next, and you're like, "Oh man!"
You forget that they have 35 songs that you.
Yeah, we were 20 songs into the set list, and I'm like, "Oh my God, they've run out of stuff!" And you're like, "Wait, I forgot they had that tune."
You never run out of stuff. Yeah, I think they're, first of all, I think Billy Gibbons. We know we just lost Dusty Hill, but they were extraordinary band, and Mr. Beard back there on the drums, just. Wow.
Well, and the fact that they've been able to move on with somebody with Toby's brother stepping up from the crew to play lead. No offense for those of us in the business who watched that transpire. Shout out to the Francis brothers. You guys are like the coolest dudes in show business.
Yeah, I have to go ahead and tip my hat to that. Couldn't agree more.
Toby has such a great outlook on life and such a consummate professional, and his clients speak for him. Yeah. Right? I mean, no offense. I heard you joke about Robert Scoville.
He's a friend. I'm
a big Tom Petty fan. I think I bought tickets to 20 or 30.
That's Tom Petty's rig right there.
Right. I bought tickets to 20 or 30 Petty shows over the years.
Yeah. That's a fan.
Yeah.
No, and there's certainly not that.
Well, and to be honest, I was out with Waylon. And Chris Adamson had taken a small break from Tom Petty and was doing a small band called Steely Dan. And they were at Chastain Park in Atlanta. And you know me, I walked all the way in. I'm like, a friend of mine went to high school with Chris, so I went all the way in, and I meet him for the first time.
Yeah.
He sets me up in a VIP box. I'm the truck driver with Waylon Jennings. Suddenly I have a laminate for Steely Dan at Chastain Park going, "Sure, Ricky, don't lose that number." It was great. And then at the end of the show, he looks at me, and then a couple years later, I'm working at Upstaging, and I get to play lead driver on Fleetwood Mac with him with 7 trucks, and he was just so nice to me.
Yeah, that's great.
Right? And then it came to the Hollywood Bowl when he's there with Petty, and I walked backstage, and I said, "Chris, is there any way just a plebeian roadie like me can come and, hang out?" And of course, laminate. Right? Not a sticky, a laminate. I can go into catering. I can go say hi to the band and Tom. And
you've never been afraid to ask. Your force of personality persuades often, and you've been known to come in and kind of set the table up the way you want it to be. And you got to respect that in your game, because the worst they could say to you is, "No, man, we don't got the space right now. I got the real estate." And you'd understand.
Right.
You totally understand.
But I don't ask to go stand next to the monitor or console or something. I'm like, I'll stay out in the audience. You won't even know I'm here. One of my clear, greatest and dearest roadie friends, Randall Pootie Locke, Willie Nelson's stage manager for 35 years. Pootie and I met.
Kind of a legendary guy, yeah.
Yeah, we met in '79. Let's fast forward to like 2008, out at the Opry House in Nashville. It's Ray Price, Ray Benson, Merle Haggard, and Willie Nelson on stage together.
Wow.
And so I call Pootie and go out to the bus in the afternoon because I was asking for passes for my late wife and I. And this is what Pootie said to me. And he's handing me the stuff. And he hands me tickets and he hands me passes. And he said, "Hey, Bubba, if I see your ass backstage during the show, our friendship is over." He said, and I go out, and God rest his soul too, the late Steve Gudis was sitting right next to me with my wife. We were 7th row dead center at the Opry House.
That's the catbird seat.
They were. He said, "Ross, these are the nicest tickets." No, he did it to me once in the early '90s with Willie at Radio City Music Hall. He put me in like the 5th row dead center at Radio City Music Hall. I'm like,
that's a sweet spot right there. Yeah, that's
cool.
Nice.
Right. Yeah, I tell people one of the things I am looking forward to with Stephanie, now that I'm changing careers and stuff is the fact that I will be able to go sit down. I wanted to see him this last summer with his client and
Mr.
check
John
out
Legend.
the mix, right? Yeah, John Legend. Holy crap.
I guess that thing was pristine. You know, I guess John Legend, I don't follow him too
I had
closely, but
friends
he's
who
an
went to it. You know what they
extraordinarily
told me?
talented guy.
They said
Yeah,
the sound
yeah.
was so impeccably good.
Yeah.
And I
It's the
said,
only
I
way to
know
do
the
that
guy
show.
who was doing that.
Yeah, it's the only way to do that show. You can't, that's not when you're trying to peel somebody's face off with, you know. You want to bring that in soft and lovely and, just the right amount of, yeah, and that took some couple minutes to get worked out as the tour progressed to get
Well, it
the
was
exact
nice to hear
sound.
from
but
independent friends
Yeah.
who said, hey, I went to the show, because I remember posting something about John Legend, and they're like, because I do, I go from one minute to Alice Cooper, next minute to Barry White. I don't care. I'm all,
great artists.
Or maybe it's
That's
Pig
why.
Face, or, whatever. It's whatever it is, it's music.
Yeah.
And music should be, but yes, I had posted something about John Legend. And there's another quick anecdote, John Legend at the Ryman. He had, literally 200 girls waiting for the meet and greet after the show, and he coined the phrase autograph or photo. Nobody wanted an autograph. Nobody. You know how good he was with 70 kinds of phones? Because everyone's handing you their phone. You got to know how to take the photo with it.
Right.
He did all the photography work, John Legend, and then a security guard came along. But for about 20 or 30 ladies, he did the.
Yeah,
How cool is that to have John Legend go, let's do a selfie together?
Well, in this day and age,
I got it. I get it first time.
In this day and age, there is some currency in that.
There's a lot,
the
yes.
selfie is the equivalent of the old days, what a signature
Totally.
would be on a record or something
But-
like that.
but what I like-
some of the old school people still getting signatures too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
fun
what I
still.
like
I
to
went
tell
there.
people is that as a security guard, getting to hear the conversation,
Yeah.
the true artists, Rhonda Vincent, some of these artists, they would have conversation with every person.
Yeah, it's very sweet. The country artists are extraordinarily good at this.
And they maintain
really
friendships,
understand how
and they
to-
see the Whites again from last summer, and remember that, hey, you're from West Virginia, and
Yeah,
hey, we've seen you in
yeah,
3.5 years, where you been? And you're
It's a
like,
thing. It's a
whoa.
real thing.
How do they, I don't know how people do it. It's nice. But,
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, the fanfare days, I'm old enough to remember the fanfare days in Nashville where everybody had a booth. And you went into the booth and you waited in line to get your Ray Price autograph.
Yeah, very cool.
Tammy Wynette was standing there, Loretta Lynn giving you the autograph, and now that's morphed into CMA Fest at the stadium, and you can't get real close to the artist.
But it's always gonna morph. This is what our industry does. As we can make it bigger, we'll make it bigger, and you start making it more exclusive. But it's a thing. Let me ask first of all, Stephanie, thank you, darling, for bringing us these wonderful coffee mugs. It is what sustains us around here. It's
Thank you.
coffee. It's what
So
makes the
they'll
whole
get
machine go.
good
So
use.
thank you for your contribution to that.
We love
Very sweet. I know you did some tour managing back in the day and artist liaisons for the amazing Bobby Womack. Tell us about that. I mean, there's some real legends in the industry, in the world of music. Bobby Womack is right on that list. I mean, wow, that must have been fun.
It was. I can tell funny stories myself. We opened for Patti LaBelle
Yeah. Sure.
in Philadelphia.
Talk about legend, Patti LaBelle.
And I had literally just started with Bobby. And let's see, which story should I tell?
The
from
one
that
that's
night?
safest, we of course, we got our money from them. They paid us, so we can't tell certain things, right? We do have
We'll
a
say that one, he was running late.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I really didn't know if he was going to make it on time, but I kept assuring the promoter he would be
course you
there
did.
on
That's your
time.
job. That was your
I'm thinking,
job.
he's Bobby Womack. He knows how to get
He's a
his
pro.
tush
For a
to the
minute,
show.
Yeah.
I should not have to babysit this man.
Yeah.
And he was there. But he also is addicted to the spotlight. So when the show was going on and the audience was so receptive, they're all dancing, people are in the aisles, and the promoter's going like, it's time. He needs, he's giving me the five,
hitting
and
you with the
going,
flashlight.
Bobby, and eventually it's like, Bobby,
Yeah.
and then Bobby, okay, I'm embarrassed to tell the story, but it's very funny. No, I'm not going to tell the story.
Don't tell it. You got to protect
But he
your
did
client.
embarrass me a bit. He said, this little white girl is trying to get me off the stage. And the audience, boo!
I had a moment like that in my career. But I know exactly. And don't you hate it? Because, we go out of our way. We're trying not to be seen. This is our whole job.
Right, yeah.
My first show with him. He dragged me out.
Oh,
It was
that's funny.
hysterical.
Little white girl.
I was just like, oh my God, okay. And then the promoter's like, so is he coming off? I'm like, I really don't know. I'm like, yes, Bob, now.
Yeah, not that.
They bring up the house lights. He's still singing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It was priceless. It
Wow.
was.
Did he really was impervious to the house lights?
Yes.
The house lights came up and he kept
and the
singing.
sound came down.
That is awesome.
But it was so much fun because they were worried about going into overtime.
Yeah.
Union
Crew or something. Sure. Yeah, they'll get
But
you.
Bobby just really, he didn't steal the show because she came out and was,
Patty LaBelle.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Patty LaBelle's a goddamn Jesus Christ.
Right. So, but
Hey,
he really
can we-
rubbed the audience up, I will say.
Let's take a minute, though, and say, hey, AT,
Yeah.
we love you, dude.
I was
Alan
going to say,
Thompson.
Bobby, I love you, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
I
a
know.
good man. He took care of me. He respected me. He had all kinds of jokes about my smile. When we were in Harlem and we were playing at the Apollo, he made sure that I did not go outside. He was like, I don't want you to go outside because
what era
I'm
are we
afraid
talking
someone is going to snatch you
80s.
off the street
yeah.
and I won't know where you are.
Yeah.
He says, when you smile that smile, when your face lights up like the sun, I don't want you to do that in Harlem.
Yeah, maybe not the best place.
No, it was really funny, and so it was heartwarming.
That is
because
very
he really,
sweet. He was concerned
cared
about you.
me.
That's right. He showed
right.
concern. Yeah, Harlem is considerably different now. That very area you're talking about is particularly at certain times.
But I did sneak out because I had to see what he was talking about. So I saw all the vendors on the street and all the hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
And then I quickly went back stage.
Good for you. Good for you. No, secondhand knowledge is not good enough sometimes.
So I want to share, though, after I'd moved in with Stephanie and I thought I knew a lot about her career, I opened a cassette from Bobby Womack. And I'm looking at the credits. And you know what this means. Here's what the credits read. Thank you, Keith Richards. Thank you, Charlie Watts. Thank you, Stephanie Perrome, and then 40 names. And I looked at her and I said, oh my God.
That's very
The
sweet.
Rolling Stones and then you? And she goes, I said, no, that's not random. He wrote it that way.
That's how he thought
The
it.
record company gets the credits the way the artist wants them. And usually there's God
he wants
first.
them. Yeah.
They missed that one.
Yeah.
But it goes in order.
Yeah,
And that's in
good.
order. And that was the pecking order.
That's very
Keith
nice.
Richards, Charlie Watts, Stephanie Perrome.
You
And
must have
I
been
mean,
very
no offense,
dear to him.
I've been around the block. I am not that cool. I am not that cool.
Well, if you're saying that, me and you are not even close to as cool as the girls that hang out with us.
Right.
Just recognize
exactly.
you're lucky fella.
She elevates me.
When
She makes me.
when she was making you all pretty before you came around, that's okay. That's come on, seriously, man. I'm living the dream, and I'm watching it for you here. So I'm super glad to have that.
Thank you.
I had another incident in New York where a black gentleman, as tall as you, but with the fedora on, right?
Yeah.
Comes up to me. It's after the show, and he wants to get in to see Bobby, and I'm like, Bobby doesn't see anybody for 20 minutes. I mean, that's the law, right?
Yeah.
So, but he is like in my face.
Yeah.
And I'm standing my ground because.
Well, it's your job,
By
actually.
me?
Yeah.
But at one point, one of the girls afterwards said to me, weren't you intimidated? I'm like, no. So I go back to tell Bobby.
Yeah.
And he says, he uses the white girl. And he says, no one is going to fuck with the white girl.
That's perfect. That is perfect.
There's no one. So,
No, it's not uncommon in New York for like Don the Magic Wand or some of the pimp-like dudes will roll up backstage and they can talk their way past security and another security, Before you know it, they're in Monitor World or at the front of house and they're like asking the next level. And you're like, dude, no. They're not used to that. They're not.
No.
Their whole world is yes. They don't hear no frequently. So
Right.
that's
The
the
girls
thing.
are, weren't you intimidated? I'm like, no.
Nah. I always dig
That
their
was even
outfits. I'm
before I
like,
spoke
damn,
to
dude, you're not playing. Some of those Harlem outfits were just awesome. Since they put on their own show when they roll up, they're just kind of moving through the air. They got that swagger. Yeah, it's fucking cool as hell. But it's a very specific market that has a very specific set of kind of circumstances that you gotta negotiate. It's not that different when fucking playing Madison Square.
Yeah.
There's just specific things that go into these venues, and the Apollo is legendary. Forget
Yes,
about it.
a gorgeous, beautiful,
beautiful old room.
venue.
You know, just really great. The history in there, the Sandman, the whole bit. You know,
Right. No, it was very nostalgic. Plus, I got to play the backstage pass game, you know, where you're stealing from envelopes to give other people who show up who say they're supposed to have passes.
Yeah.
So now you're like, well, okay, well, I give this guy these 4, and then when he comes back, I'll have to just steal them from another envelope. You know, I was like the king backstage because I had the pass thing down.
Yeah.
It was that part was the most gratifying because I didn't have to worry. If they said they were on the list, I know someone told them they were supposed to be on the list, and I was just working the passes. It was a great night.
You sound like you were very nice about it.
Yeah, I was if they could get me. You know, that's the whole thing, right? Is people have to run and try and find you to bring you to the door.
Yeah.
So sometimes you wait a while until they can find you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talked about in the introduction that you spent a lot of time with Waylon Jennings. Now, I always found Waylon Jennings. We did some work with him with Willie and Chris and Johnny on the Highwaymen stuff.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, come on. It was just, you know, you're talking about in a room with just like a bunch of just legends. It's so weird, you know, and you don't even know where they're like tuning guitars for Chris Gustavs. It's just odd, you know. But I always thought Waylon Jennings was kind of a class act, the way he rolled his whole deal. What was it like working with Waylon?
Well, the license plate on my car is for Waylon.
See what I mean? Yeah, he instilled that kind of loyalty.
It's not for the average white man. It's for Waylon.
That's right.
Because, I went out. The weirdest thing was I was working for Bob Peeney, RAP Trucking, down in Orlando, Florida. And I love you, Bob. Bob put me out as a replacement driver for a weekend on Waylon. And another employee had brought the client to the company. We were only 14 trucks. We weren't a big powerhouse. So I went out and did my usual routine. And first of all, I'll be honest, I'm a Willie Nelson guy. 35, 40 years, Willie Nelson, his crew, all of them befriended me. You know what that's like when you get to go to a Willie show to show up in 4 passes or energy, drinking beer backstage. I've been to Lukenbach for 4th of July's. I've been to picnics. I've been to it all. I've been to over 100 Willie shows. Long story short, so I get the job with Waylon. This guy's a bona fide legend.
Okay.
So I learned as a bus driver, put your head down, don't ask for anything, do your job, and maybe they'll ask you back.
Yeah.
So I go out and I do my job. It's supposed to be a weekend. I go to do something else about Wednesday, and my boss calls me and goes, hey, they want you back. And I'm like, well, what do you, that's awkward. What's with this other guy? And he said, they don't want him back. And then so I get out with Waylon. I'm about 8 months with them doing my job. When I finally asked the production manager, Dwayne Hall, I said, Dwayne, why did you fire that driver? He goes, oh my God, he was a fan. Every show, he came to us with cousins and ticket requests and bringing his family.
He didn't understand.
He brought his family backstage to meet Waylon at every show.
Absolutely did not understand the rules.
No, he did. He's an entertainment truck driver, but
he just couldn't help himself.
No, he was Waylon Jennings fan, and yes, in defense, like I said earlier, we all are fans, and every once in a while, even the most jaded roadie can lose touch when somebody walks down the hallway and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, it's real. It happened for me at the Ryman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Souther and Jackson Brown standing side by side backstage. And I'm like, here's the guy who wrote huge hits for the Eagles and Jackson Brown. And I'm in my security uniform. I looked at them both. They said, hey guys, this is going to be really awkward, but could I hug you both at the same time? And they looked at me like, this is awkward, but they let me do it.
Yeah.
I got to hug the 2 guys, the coolest songwriters in the world. And guess what? Jackson was there. He's there to receive his ASCAP Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yes.
And Mr. Souther's introducing him as a best friend, grew up with him. They wrote,
I
these
think
days
Sutter's
together.
already had that award too. So.
Yeah, he already had that award.
So of course he'd indoctrinated.
And then of course all the fans of Mr. Souther came because they're as big as anybody, right? Like Eagles guys are standing standing around. You're like,
Yeah.
What are you guys doing here? They're like, oh, these are our, the whole posse showed up at the Ryman. And the backstage at the Ryman is half the size of the set.
Yeah.
And I tell people, it can get awkward.
Yeah, tight, close.
Yeah, but it's also nice because people realize that it's family. One of my greatest moments at the Ryman, I risked my entire job. Jack Black came up to me. His wife was performing on the Tuesday Night Opry, and he says, hey man, where can I go smoke? I looked at him and said, weed or cigarettes?
Yeah.
And he looks at me and goes, why would you say that? And I said,
because there's two different places.
There's two different places you have to go. And he looks at me and goes, well, it's going to be cigarettes. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. And I said, where I'm going to send you, if you'd lit a joint up, the cops would arrest you and you weren't going to come back inside. Yeah. I said, this is Nashville. We've arrested our starting quarterback. We've arrested Wynonna Judd. Do you want me to go down? We've arrested the mayor's kid.
Yeah,
you're Jack Black. They want to arrest you, dude. Yeah. Smoking a joint, that'd be great. He goes, well, I'm not smoking pot. And I'm like, again, I'm not here to care what you're doing. I'm here to protect you from yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you might go, well, here I am. I'm locked in this cage outside the Ryman with people walking down the alley looking in at me, and I'll light a joint thinking I'm cool, and they'll wait for you to come out and arrest you.
The Ryman is a historic
well, just Nashville itself, they didn't care. They arrested our starting quarterback for a DUI on a Thursday night, okay? The Titans lost that weekend. It was bad.
Yeah. It's such a horseshit argument, but I couldn't care less about it. Fuck, he's an asshole and he shouldn't be fucking around if he's got responsibilities like that. At the same time,
yes,
I don't do sports, so I don't. but no, you're not wrong. There's certain jurisdictions in this country where you need to know. Vegas used to be very much like this.
Yeah,
you didn't mess around in Vegas. I'm sorry, but that was not a state you brought drugs into. You didn't bring marijuana in. You didn't. They were playing for real. Like they were cool with a couple things you could be illegal about, the gambling and other forms of vice. But that was the one. Since they had the other ones that were free, they were wicked hard on that. And you just knew that. There was parts of New York you didn't go in with a weapon. You couldn't bring a knife into downtown New York and think that Johnny was going to throw you on the wall and take your ass away. It was as simple as that.
A couple years ago, I was a lead driver on Maxwell, and she was out with me and. Had a weird incident in Brooklyn during rehearsals, and so I had to go back to the precinct to talk to the cops. And I always wear this knife. I used to cut straps in the trailer and stuff. And I'm standing in the precinct with 4 cops, and 2 of them look at me and go, "Hey, dude, do you have a weapon?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Do you have a weapon on you?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." And then all of a sudden they're like, "Okay, we're going to ask you one more time, and if you don't answer this properly, we're going to arrest you." And I went, oh, the knife. They said, "Yeah, that's a weapon. You're in a precinct and you didn't declare it." And I'm like, dude, there's 4 of you with guns.
Yeah.
I got a knife. Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. But the cops were really nice. A girl ran into the back of my trailer and tried to tell the cops that I backed into her. No, so they came out and looked at the ICC bumper, and they went all around. I went back to the precinct at 3 a.m. to clear my name because I knew that if I'd left town,
it'd be on you.
Yeah, it'd be on me.
Yeah,
because it was my word against theirs. Yeah. And you know what they said as I was leaving? It was great. They said, "Man, you need to call your safety director. We know what this girl's going to do. She's going to get a lawyer and get a $3 million lawsuit after you." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, it happens all the time. She screwed up, and now she's going to make you pay."
America is a wonderful place, but we're a little overly litigious. Yeah. Let me ask Stephanie. Yeah. I got a little note here. It says back when you were late teens, early 20s, that you were a showgirl on the Ice Capades. Is this true, Stephanie?
This is true.
Tell us about that. That must have been fascinating.
Oh, the road. It was fascinating. You'd meet a guy. Of course, they always want to know if they could carry your luggage.
Yeah.
Could they sneak into your trunk? Sure.
I bet you were very popular.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I think you need to tell her. She dated a local hometown boy here for a year.
Well, that's up to
we're gonna shout it out.
Story.
Yes, I'm gonna.
No.
Anyway, he was with a local band, big rock band.
Oh, yeah. Well, the tours were crossing. It was just, the fate of life.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
it was fun. Well,
So it's something you enjoy.
Yeah. No, but I enjoyed the road a lot. It was fun to, when we were young, you had to double up or triple up in the room to have a decent room. Like
Yeah.
in Boston, we would always triple up so we'd get a suite,
Yeah,
so you'd have more space.
absolutely.
And we would do a lot of shows, but we were young, so we would party like Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. We do 3 shows Saturday, 2 shows Sunday.
Wow.
Travel Monday,
That sounds like a lot of work.
Then, well, we would always treat ourselves. One of my friends, my best friend still to this day, Arlene. Every Monday night when we would arrive in the new city, we would get the Where magazine. The hotel has that, and it shows you the highlighted areas of restaurants. And we would pick a restaurant and we would treat ourselves to some, gourmet meal of sorts.
Oh, it sounds yummy.
Because otherwise, you can eat in the area, but you're usually rushing, and you have meals that are given to you on
Yeah, kind of like on a
various
treadmill.
days.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very regimented.
The outfits are like 40, 50 pounds.
I've carried some heavy
The
costumes
head
on
thing,
ice.
that head, think about
Oh,
that.
sure, yeah.
Snap
The
your head
cape on
off.
one was a good 40, and the headpiece was probably 10.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then it's not so much that when you're on the ice, because you're allowing yourself to glide across it smoothly,
sure.
right? It's when you're backstage and you've got to put it over your shoulder,
Sure.
and you got to take your headpiece off,
Kinda trying
and
to-
then you're on ice skates and rubber matting and
Yeah.
slippery slopes.
I can
and,
imagine that would be a little tricky.
Yeah, although I will say, my first year on the show, we had the distinct position of coming from front ice. So we would have to walk the whole venue
Oh wow.
in costume, all 18 of us,
My
so,
God.
So the audience would see the girls coming through the
I
lobby,
understand, but
and then we would walk.
God, I wanted to be 14
When we were
again.
when we were at Madison Square Garden, we had to walk down the stairs in the dark, to get
that's
to front
insane.
ice, and then we would kneel. And then it would start, and then we would come up, and then we would just show up from front ice. And so we were coming from every direction.
Wow.
It was very, very cool.
Yeah.
Because you got to take pictures with some of the fans. They would say,
Sure.
"Oh my God, the girls in the costumes!"
Yeah,
Yeah, for me,
So it was really sweet. They were beautiful costumes
I
too.
bet
They
they
were
were.
sequin bikinis,
Oh, I
and
bet it was
red,
lovely.
white, and blue.
Yes, yes.
I have some pictures from that show, but all those costume pictures, at least the professional ones, were done in black and white. It's like, they were all done for newspaper back in the day. So everything was black
Sure,
and
of course. Makes perfect
white.
sense.
But yeah, fun times.
Well, I brought up the Rome International with Keller Williams. Tell us about that. I know you got this young man into it. Take me into how you got into real estate and what it means to you now.
Well, it's a good story. I suppose my father was a broker, and he'd been trying to get me into real estate most of my life, actually from the moment I got off the plane.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I'm in management. I'm in artist management. I'm going to make my way.
Yeah.
And I've had an interesting career. I'm grateful for all the opportunities that, have gotten me here. But I just wanted to make my path, and I was fortunate enough to have him in my life now, and he had already done real estate, and I've lived all this interesting life, and now it's like I'm at a new place where I can walk away from what was that entertainment stuff, but now it's coming back with the sports and entertainment division, so that's pretty nice.
Interesting.
No, I have
That
some
is- we're
friends I'm
lucky.
hoping will, be
Contribute
excited
to
for
the-
us.
Yeah, maybe reach out.
And I've always loved homes with pools, so
Yeah, that's her thing.
as time goes on,
Pool
my goal
lady.
is to really start learning where some of the best areas are for, deluxe, beautiful, serene, or poppy. Everybody needs a different thing with the pool when they're
Sure,
looking
they
for a
certainly
pool.
come in many shapes and sizes and styles.
right.
Yeah, we went to
So
a house, the
I
pool
love
was about
real
the size of
estate.
your
It's-
desk.
It's really wonderful to find those spectacular properties, and that's what we're hoping to do, is to work more in more of a luxury market. That's the sports and entertainment division, and that those homes are so beautiful. It's really lovely to be able to showcase them and help them find a family who wants to enjoy them, you know. So I'm just excited about the opportunity to change lanes.
Yeah.
You know, at this age, I'm dictating my own career. So, you know, it's
Good for
wonderful
you.
to have the opportunity to do it with someone who's got some experience. And Keller Williams, I couldn't be any happier with the brokerage.
Yeah.
They are so good at educating you. They have courses and online study and mentorships and coaching.
That's
and
wonderful.
They want to see you succeed, and it's really just lovely. So it's the value system there is good. You know, for
That's
the most
very
part,
important.
I haven't met all the agents, but the people that I've met are good-hearted people, and you can tell everybody really just sort of wants to support you and help you become a better agent. So I'm excited about the future, and I get to do it with someone that I love and care about. So
That's wonderful.
I'm excited.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very, very
And
good.
obviously, it's Perome International for a
Well, he
reason.
did that because I've been using that for my production management for all the years that I was out there. So
I did that because you're going to sell more real estate
now,
than
my
me.
sphere of influence, the people who know me at least know my name from my working in the business to some degree, right? So it made sense to just allow it to move forward into
Absolutely.
real estate
Well, you
consulting.
created your brand. It's already established, and you just kind of a new leg to it.
Right, exactly. Right. It's a new lane.
Absolutely. We're getting up close against the time. I wanted to ask you about, you had an injury a while back. You're such a trooper, dude. Like, I remember when that all happened. And we were like,
I was there 3 weeks after it happened,
and we were
hanging
sweating
out with you all going.
We were super sweating it for you. So, you know, we saw the pictures, and we were worried about you. And then we end up doing this thing in here with Rick Allen and, you know, Death Leopard thing. And you show up with Clayton Q.
Right.
And his lovely girl at the time. And we had this little soiree, I don't know what you call it, like a
What do you
benefit
mean
thing.
little? It was huge.
It was
man.
kind of a thing.
It was awesome.
Kind
That
of
was
dressing rooms everywhere and
some
food.
big name entertainment, buddy. Billy Idol, Winona, Tizo, Pete.
But you came in and you were trying to make us feel better about you having a recent accident where you lost some fingers doing what happened. We were so busy, if you remember. I don't remember getting with you in one-on-one going, what the hell happened, buddy?
Well, here's the short story.
Yeah, go short. We got only a minute or two left.
There was some miscommunication when I went to go do the pre-trip on the motor. While I was walking to the back of the bus, there was Way Jennings standing there, Waylon's grandkid. Waylon's, his dad, Terry Jennings, had just died about 2 years ago. Terry was a really good friend of mine, one of the best guys in the Wayland camp. And so I had never met Way, so I went over to talk to him. Anyway, long story short, that set off some timing. My hand was in the motor when the motor got started accidentally. And yeah, it was an accident.
Wow,
It was totally not, nobody tried to do it to me.
Of course not.
It wasn't intentional. But in the moment that it happened, all I can say is I realized that this is my opportunity to show people something different. And yes, thank you for that, because since the moment I've done it, I've looked at people and go, hey, they're not coming back. They're gone. They're gone. It was immediate. I kind of know. I've had people in the last 6 months ask me if I could get some surgery and get them back. I'm like, no, not happening.
Make them feel better? Is that
I don't know. One guy asked me a few months ago if I was going to have my fingers sewn back on. I'm like, no.
You fucking idiot.
No.
Sorry.
I missed that window. That was the best part of the day, though. No, there's the best part of the day. If you all want to laugh. There was wicked commotion in the 42 minutes I waited for the ambulance to show up
42.
at Hazard Fest, and waiting for the ambulance. There was commotion, and there was a collection of fingers made by people in the band and put on ice in a cardboard box and sent with me in the ambulance to the hospital. Now, I'm having a great time in the ambulance, I got to tell you. I am. it was great. But we get to the hospital, and the first thing the doctor did was look in the box and threw it in the garbage can. I went, you know what? Obviously, this is not going to work out the way I envisioned. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, it took them a half an hour to get those fingers on ice. He goes, we're not used. And then I hadn't looked at my hand, and he looks at me, and we're going to sit now for 4.5 hours across the table as he cuts my fingers apart. But he looks at me and goes, did you not look at your hand? I said, oh, yeah, no, I didn't. But hey, by the way, I'm a really transparent guy on social media, so I'm going to need you to take photos of my hand so I can put it up on Facebook.
Yeah,
he goes,
you would have been banned for a year.
No. He goes, here's the cool thing. Yeah, you're not going to get, he goes, I'm actually going to lock the photos up so you can never see them because the trauma that will come from you seeing your hand in the condition. This is 5 hours of surgery later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what happened to me is this thing called gloving. Go look it up.
Oh, yeah.
You look it up. It's really bad.
Don't wear rings.
But he didn't have a ring.
My fingers went into the fan belt pulleys on an 8V92 Detroit. Any of you drivers know, you'll know what I'm talking about. And they sucked it right in. I couldn't stop it. It was faster than whatever, and I knew immediately. So the night before I stayed at the Hampton Inn, always had the hand towel ready to do the oil change or oil check, and I just wrapped my hand in the towel and went to the hospital.
Wow.
42 minutes again until the ambulance showed up. I will say that was the time I was tough.
Yeah.
And I got the guitar player to tourniquet my arm, and I walked around the event site for 42 minutes. The promoter even had the balls to come up to me and go, hey, dude, we're going to need you to stay behind the vehicles.
What the?
Well, I'll say this. I remember meeting you at that Big Love benefit, and I knew you were a chill-ass guy when you pulled up. I came outside for Mixon smoking a cigarette, and I was talking to you, and he was like, I think you were driving Clayton or somebody, and you're like, hey, I told him I had a hand and a half on it. And I was like, oh my fucking God. 3 weeks after, he's already cracking a joke about his hand.
Well, hey, that's my motto. If I can't make one person laugh today, then what is my value on the planet?
Oh, dude, your value is infinite, and we love you. And I really appreciate the two of you guys coming up.
Thank you for having us.
You've been an amazing, wonderful addition to this young man's life. I've seen a shine and a glow in his face that's really a treat for us. I've been loving you forever. I'm so glad you weather things so well. But, you know, I'm glad to see you doing this new thing with Keller Williams. We wish you all the support and love with that. If you want to get into our Rolodex, you know, let us know.
Well, hey, talking about some warehouse additions, maybe you guys need a warehouse. Who knows? Hey, I do want to say this so people are not confused, though.
Sure.
Yes, the sports and entertainment brand. Keller Williams is
just a division.
It's a division inside 200,000 agents. Keller Williams is the #1 company now in the world in real estate. We're now in 60 countries.
I did not know this.
What happened was Jordan Stewart and Jason Ross, the guys who are running the group, they've got, I think they're going to get about 600 agents in the group nationwide, and these are go-getters, man. These are roadie type people. These are not just realtors. These are super realtors who are willing to make transactions happen. And yes, clients might have a brand or marquee name, which but for a lot of people, real estate is an immediate transaction. It's not a slow-paced thing. They need it to happen quick.
Yeah.
And we're that group. We're the group that will helicopter in and sell you a house on Maui.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Maybe it's a team of 4 or 5 guys, but we come in like roadies and we're going to help you buy property. Yeah. And the amazing thing was the other day we did a social media blitz.
Okay.
And
how'd it go?
I will tell you that a huge tour manager contacted me.
You mentioned this. We talked about this a little bit.
And he wants in, and we're going to talk to him, and maybe we'll bring some other people in.
That's fantastic.
And they see the validity of the fact that, wait a second, I got clients who are buying $8 and $12 million homes. Maybe I should sell them to them. Well, I'm like, hey, if you're a tour manager out there and you get your license, sell your client a house.
I wish you all the success in the world. It sounds like you're both passionate and super into it. And
well, it's exciting because you see there's a whole other sports side to it. And these guys
we don't know sports.
We don't know sports, but they're so well connected. What we're seeing already is that there are agents across the nation who are watching local sports teams already
that
and
makes sense.
selling to local sports
Yeah,
teams.
they already know the
so they
kid here.
already
Yeah.
now this guy's being transferred to this club, so
Sure.
now you have an agent who can take care of him in this market.
I completely
So
can
it's
see
really
that.
exciting
Yeah.
to see all the different avenues, and it'll be the same with entertainers certainly too.
Sure.
That people want to live in Bramson, or maybe they want to live in Indiana.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
really
it's
true.
not all
You
Santa
don't have
Monica
to- right, it's
on the
not all
water in
Hollywood,
Malibu.
so-
No,
People
It's
buy
very
real
exciting.
homes in real places.
Many of our friends are ranching it up anymore. That
Yeah.
seems to be the new thing. And so,
Well, look
I've
at
got
your
friends with
backyard.
40
Look at
acres
your
and,
porch.
That's 5 acres. That's just, a little thing. My
Bill,
gal's
it's beautiful.
family thing. I'm just lucky. I'm married well. The best girlfriend in the freaking world. And I
Amen.
love her.
Amen.
I'm happy
anyways,
for you. Happy birthday again.
Oh, thank
Yes,
you
happy
guys.
birthday,
It's
dude.
such a
Thank
treat
you.
to have you in here.
Yeah,
I
how
love
wonderful to be here and celebrate with you.
you. You guys are the
So,
best. Thank you so much. Thank you. So it's
having
a great story. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you guys. That was super fun. What do you think?
Fucking blast, dude.
Right.
Such good stories.
Yeah, no, it was just a lot of fun. Listen, guys, we do this for you. We're running a little late tonight, but we're just with the greatest people. We're so lucky. We do this every Thursday at 7 p.m. Next week, we have the amazing Eric Rogers. Now, Eric is really an accomplished mix engineer, Godsmack, Avenged Sevenfold. He's really put in the work. Hello, TV. He's an extraordinary cat. I'm really excited to get him in here and share his experiences with us. Again, we do it every week. Why don't you come back and see us again? Until then, behave, be good, do all that stuff, and we'll see you next week. Good night.